All right, so the January transfer window is about to slam shut, and we're getting tons of questions about one guy in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Rashford.
Ah.
It seems like everyone wants to know the same thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
Is he truly Manchester United quality or just a guy who looks good in the kit?
Right.
I mean, is he actually part of the solution at Old Trafford?
Yeah.
Or is he actually big part of the problem?
A big problem.
We're going to try to tackle that today.
Okay.
We're going to dive deep into his stats,
Right.
look at his performances, and really try to understand just what is going on with Marcus Rashford.
It is a fascinating question, isn't it?
It is.
It's been debated endlessly by fans and pundits alike.
For sure.
I mean, you see these flashes of brilliance, these moments where he looks absolutely unplayable.
Yeah.
But then he disappears for long stretches.
Oh, he does.
It's enough to drive a manager mad.
It really is.
Let alone the fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
okay, so let's rewind all the way back to the beginning. Everyone remembers that incredible debut back in 2016.
oh, yeah.
Scoring braces in his first 2 matches as a teenager.
It was like something out of a movie.
Like a fairy tale, right?
Yeah.
Instant comparisons to Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
The weight of the world on his young shoulders.
Yeah.
What do we make of that explosive grace? Start looking back now?
Whoa.
Was it a genuine indication of his potential?
Right.
Or just a case of catching lightning in a bottle?
Yeah, it's tricky, you know, because that kind of debut creates a narrative, an expectation, and it's hard to shake that even years later.
Yeah.
There's no doubt he has a natural talent, the pace, the dribbling ability, that knack for finding the back of the net.
Yeah.
But even back then, you know, there were whispers coming from within the United Academy saying that he relied too heavily on instinct.
Okay.
And that he lacked the tactical discipline and the work ethic of a truly elite player.
Interesting. And then, of course, you have to consider the managerial merry-go-round at Manchester United.
Yeah.
Mourinho, Solskjaer, Rangnick, Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Each with their own style, their own philosophy.
Absolutely.
Is it possible that this constant change has actually hindered Rashford's development?
Possibly.
Maybe he's just never had the stability to truly blossom.
It's a common argument.
Yeah.
And it's certainly a factor.
For sure.
But if you actually look closely at each manager, there's a recurring theme with each one. They all initially embrace Rashford.
Yeah.
Give him opportunities, see the potential.
Right.
But then inevitably the inconsistency creeps in.
It always does.
The goals dry up, the decision-making falters.
Right.
And he just fades into the background. It makes you wonder, you know, if that's a sign of something a bit deeper.
Okay.
A flaw in his mentality or his approach to the game.
Yeah.
Rather than just a product of the environment.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk numbers for a sec. I've got some stats here.
Yeah.
And they paint a pretty interesting picture.
Okay.
One season, he bags a career-high 22 goals.
Right.
The next, it's back down to 11.
Wow.
What should we make of these wild swings in his goal-scoring output?
Yeah.
Is it a sign of a player who just thrives on confidence?
Okay.
Or is there something else at play here?
I think to understand what's really going on, you have to look beyond just the raw goal count.
Okay.
A deeper dive into his stats.
Yeah.
Particularly his expected goals, or XG.
Okay.
It reveals a tendency to overperform during his hot streaks, which are often followed by lengthy goal droughts.
Right.
Basically, he's riding the wave when his confidence is high. But when things aren't clicking, he really struggles to find a way to contribute consistently.
So he's a confidence player.
Yeah.
But maybe one who relies too heavily on those purple patches.
Exactly.
Rather than building a solid foundation of consistent performance.
That's it. And if you compare his best season to players like Salah or Saka, you see a stark contrast in their consistency.
For sure.
They deliver week in and week out.
Right.
Regardless of form or confidence.
Yeah.
That's the hallmark of truly elite players.
For sure. And you often hear the argument that Rashford actually shines against the big teams.
Yeah.
You know, showing up in those high-pressure moments.
Yeah.
Goals against Liverpool.
Right.
PSG.
Yep.
Those kinds of performances, they really stick in people's minds, don't they?
They do.
But is that actually a fair assessment of his impact, or are we just cherry-picking moments to fit a narrative?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and one that deserves a closer look.
For sure.
While those big game moments are certainly memorable, they don't tell the whole story.
Okay.
If you look at his record in major finals, for example, 0 goals in 4 domestic and European finals.
Oh, wow.
That's a glaring statistic.
It really is.
And it suggests that maybe he's not as comfortable under the most intense pressure.
Right.
As some might believe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just about the goals, is it?
Yeah.
We're talking about a player who's supposed to be
right.
leading the line for one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You need more than just moments of brilliance, right?
Absolutely.
What about his overall contribution to the team?
Right.
His work rate?
Yeah.
His defensive effort?
Yeah.
Are those areas where he's lacking?
Well, that's where the enigma of Rashford really comes into play.
Okay.
You know, he's capable of producing these moments of magic that few others can match.
Right.
But his all-around game leaves a lot to be desired.
Okay.
If you look at his defensive stats, for example.
Okay.
He consistently ranks in the bottom third of forwards for tackles and pressures.
Really?
Which suggests a lack of commitment to the less glamorous side of the game. You know, the hard work that's essential for a team's success.
So we're seeing a pattern here.
Yeah.
The talent is undeniable.
Right.
But the consistency.
Yeah.
The work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
The willingness to do the dirty work.
That's it.
Those are the question marks that just keep popping up.
They do.
It's almost as if he's content to just coast on his natural ability rather than pushing himself to reach his full potential.
It's a harsh assessment.
It is.
But it's hard to argue with the evidence.
It is.
And it's something that's been a source of frustration for managers and fans alike.
For sure.
You see the potential, you see the glimpses of what he could be, but it's never sustained.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the fans.
Yeah.
Because Rashford is obviously a local lad, right?
Mm-hmm.
A boyhood Manchester United supporter living the dream.
Yeah.
Do you think that plays a role in how he's perceived?
Maybe.
Are there higher expectations because he's one of our own?
Possible.
Or is there more leeway given because of his connection to the club?
It's a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah.
On one hand, the fans adore him.
Right.
They see him as a symbol of the club's values, you know?
Yeah.
A reminder of the days when homegrown talent formed the backbone of the team.
Right.
But on the other hand, that same connection can create a sense of entitlement.
Okay.
This feeling that he's somehow immune to criticism because he's wearing the shirt he grew up dreaming of wearing.
And then there's the off-field stuff.
Right.
You can't talk about Rashford without acknowledging his incredible work on child food poverty.
Absolutely.
And earned him an MBE.
Yeah.
And it speaks volumes about his character.
It does.
And his commitment to using his platform for good.
Right.
But recently there have been some controversies.
Oh, yeah.
Incidents that have raised questions about his professionalism and his focus on football. How do we reconcile those two sides of Marcus Rashford?
Well, this is a complex situation. There's no doubt that his work off the pitch has been admirable and impactful.
Yeah.
But there's also a growing sense that his off-field activities have become a distraction.
Right.
That his focus is divided and that it's affecting his performances on the pitch.
Missing team meetings.
Yeah.
Nightclub outings before calling in sick.
Right.
These are not the actions of a player who's fully committed to the cause.
No.
And there are whispers from within the club that his training efforts have been inconsistent.
Okay.
That he lacks that relentless drive that separates the good from the great.
And that's where the hype machine comes into play.
Okay.
You know, Rashford's brand, his massive social media following, the endorsements.
Right.
It all contributes to this image of a superstar, a global icon.
Right.
But when you strip all that away, what are you left with?
Yeah.
Is he a genuinely world-class player?
Right.
Or is he a talented but flawed individual who's been elevated beyond his true capabilities?
It's like we've created this monster.
Yeah.
This expectation that he's going to single-handedly restore Manchester United to their former glory. And when he inevitably falls short, we're left wondering if it's a case of wasted talent or talent that was overstated to begin with.
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And it's one that only time will answer.
Yeah.
But here's a thought for you.
Okay.
What if, instead of trying to mold Rashford into something he's not, we reframe our expectations?
Okay.
What if his true potential lies not as the main man, the goal-scoring machine, but as a high-impact player off the bench?
Okay.
Someone who can change the game late on with his pace and his energy rather than carrying the weight of expectation from the start.
That's an interesting perspective.
It is.
It takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Allows him to focus on his strengths. And maybe, just maybe, it unlocks the consistency that's been lacking.
Interesting. And sometimes those unexpected roles are where players find their greatest success.
Yeah.
Just look at how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thrived as a super sub.
That's true.
Yeah. It's not about diminishing Rashford's talent. It's about finding the right context for him to flourish.
Okay, so as we head into the final stretch of this deep dive, let's try to piece together what we've learned.
Okay.
We've got a player with undeniable talent. Capable of brilliance. But plagued by inconsistency, questionable work ethic, and a tendency to shrink in the biggest moments. The big question is, can he turn it around?
That's it.
Or is this who Marcus Rashford is? A player who tantalizes and frustrates in equal measure.
That's the enigma we're trying to solve. And to be honest, there's no easy answer. We've seen enough flashes to believe he's capable of more, but we've also seen enough inconsistency to wonder if he'll ever truly fulfill his potential.
It's a fascinating dilemma.
It is.
And it's one that will continue to be debated as long as he's wearing that Manchester United shirt.
Absolutely.
But for now, let's turn our attention to some specific examples of his performances.
Okay.
Analyze his strengths and weaknesses in more detail. And try to figure out just what the future holds for this enigmatic talent. All right, so we've laid out all the pieces of the Marcus Rashford puzzle. We see the talent, but also the inconsistency. But to really get this, we need to look at some actual matches.
Absolutely.
What are some games that really stand out to you as really showing this whole Rashford riddle?
Well, let's rewind to the 2020-21 season. On paper, 11 goals and 9 assists sounds pretty decent.
Yeah.
But when you watch those matches, you see a player who's drifting in and out of games. You know, his passing accuracy dipped significantly compared to his breakout year. His dribbling success rate just plummeted.
Wow.
It wasn't just that he wasn't scoring. It's that he wasn't really influencing the game much at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And yet, that very same season, he scores a crucial goal against PSG in the Champions League. It's that up and down nature that makes him so difficult to figure out.
Exactly. He's capable of those moments of brilliance against top-level competition. But then against weaker teams, you know, when he should be dominating, that's when he often disappears. It's almost like he needs that extra motivation, that underdog mentality to really thrive.
Okay, so what we're seeing is it's not just about raw talent. It's about mentality.
Absolutely.
And that leads us to the big question. Can that be changed? Can a player learn to be more consistent, to bring that same intensity to every single match?
Well, that's the challenge for Rashford and for whoever's managing him, really. I mean, some players just have that killer instinct, that unwavering drive to be the best. Others need to find it, to cultivate it. And at 25 years old, you'd hope those habits would be a bit more ingrained by now.
I mean, and then there are those defining moments. The ones that really become part of a player's legacy. That missed penalty in the Euro 2020 final. You have to wonder how much that still weighs on him.
Absolutely.
You know?
Those big misses. Those chances, that could have changed everything. It can really haunt a player. And for Rashford, it feels like that narrative is still being written. He has the chance to rewrite it, you know, to prove that he can deliver when the stakes are highest. But the clock is ticking.
It is. So as we wrap this up, what's the takeaway for you, the listener, who's trying to understand Marcus Rashford?
Well, I think the takeaway is you're looking at a player with incredible talent, but with significant question marks surrounding his mentality and his consistency. You know, he can be a game changer, but he hasn't yet shown that he can do it consistently, week in and week out. And for a club like Manchester United, that's a major concern.
It is. And for Rashford himself, this next chapter is crucial.
It really is.
You know, he needs to find that consistency, that drive to be the best version of himself. Otherwise, he risks becoming another what-if story. A player who never quite lived up to his potential.
But here's one final thought to consider.
Yeah.
Maybe his true potential lies not in being the main man, but in being a high-impact player off the bench.
Okay.
Someone who can change the game late, who thrives in that super sub role.
Right.
It might not be the glamorous role, but it could be the one that unlocks his true brilliance.
No, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off, allows him to play with freedom.
Right.
And maybe, just maybe, it leads to the consistency that's been missing.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right fit.
Yeah.
The right role. Where his unique talents can truly shine.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Yeah.
A deep dive into the complex and often frustrating world of Marcus Rashford.
It is a fascinating one.
We've explored his talent, his inconsistency, his off-field work, and those lingering questions that surround his future.
They're gonna linger.
As always, we appreciate you joining us on this journey of discovery.
Absolutely.
And remember, the beauty of football is that the story is never truly finished.
That's right.
There's always another chapter waiting to be written.
Always.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.